Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear friends. So we are reading from second chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Contents of the Gita summarized. And in our last session we read the 30th verse. Now we are reading the 31st verse, another very beautiful verse. Lord Shri Krishna, he says, Svadharmam api chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmayadhi yuddhashreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. So very beautiful verse. Svadharmamapi chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmayadhi yuddhashreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Svadharmamapi chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmayadhi yuddhashreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. So, Swadharmam, one's own religious principles, api, also, cha, indeed, avekshya, considering, na, never, vikampitum, to hesitate, vikampitum, the word has come from kampa, shaking, hesitating. So vikampitum, to hesitate, arhasi, you deserve, dharmayat, from religious principles, he, indeed, yuddhayat, so dharmayat, he yuddhayat. So when sandhi happens, it becomes dharmayadhi. So dharmayat, from religious principles, he indeed yuddhayat, of fighting, shreyah, better, and yuddhayat, shreyah, together it becomes yuddhashreya, and then aage, forward, there is anyat. So yuddhat shreya, better engagement, anyat, anything else. Kshatriyasya, of the Kshatriya, na, does not, vidyate, exist. Swadharmam api chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmayadhi yuddhashreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. So very beautiful verse. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, Swadharmam api chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi, you should know that there is no better engagement. Dharmayadhi yuddhashreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate, on the religious principles. There is no better engagement for you than fighting on the religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Na vikampitum arhasi. So, very beautiful verse. In the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explains, out of the four orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. Shat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trayate, to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered to the royal order of cremation. This system is being followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyasa or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious law books, it is stated. So Swami Srila Prabhupada is giving another reference from other Vedic literatures. So in the religious law books, it is stated, Ahveshu mitho anyonam jigama santo mahikshitaha yudhamana param shaktya swargam yanti aparan mukhaha यज्ञेषु पशवो ब्राह्मण हन्यते सततम दुजे संस्कृता किला मंत्रेश्च ते अपि स्वर्गम अवाप्नुवान. In the battlefield, a Kshatriya, a king or Kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battle on the religious principles and the killing of animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animals sacrificed get a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another. And the Kshatriya killed in the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. So there are two kinds of svadharmas, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of that particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's svadharma specific duty becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. Svadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Svadharma is called Varnashrama dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama dharma, or specific duties in terms of specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any form, in any field of action in accordance with Varnashrama dharma serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. So, very beautiful verse. Svadharmam, Lord Shri Krishna, he is explaining Arjunji about Svadharma, specific duty. So, and Swami Srila Prabhupada, he explains about the Kshatriyas. So the meaning of the word Swami Srila Prabhupada Kshatriya he is explaining, and he has explained in his lectures. Kshatrayate, one who gives protection. Shat means hurt. So one who gives protection from the harm, one who protects others, that is the real duty of the Kshatriyas. To protect others from harm. So Kshatrayate iti Kshatriya. So Lord Shri Krishna here, he is asking Arjunji, considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, because you are a Kshatriya, Lord Shri Krishna. Now, he gave so much knowledge about the soul. Now he is saying, because you are a Kshatriya, you should consider that. Avekshya. So you should not forget, you should consider that you should remember that you are a Kshatriya. And being a Kshatriya, there were specific duties for all the classes, for the 4 orders which are actually ordained by the Supreme Lord. He is the authority. Chaturvarnam maya shishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Lord Shri Krishna will accept that and will inform others. Chaturvarnam maya shishtam. The 4 orders, Varnas, the 4 Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, are actually Lord Shri Krishna, he is they are as per the because of guna and karma, as per one's gunas, Sataguna, Rajas guna, Tamaguna. Some people are in Sataguna, some people are in Rajaguna, some people are in Tamaguna. Some have mixtures of gunas, Rajas and Tamas, Sattva Rajas. So that's why human society or all human beings are divided into four orders, four classes: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Shudras are completely in the mode of ignorance. Brahmanas are considered to be in the mode of goodness. Kshatriyas in the mode of passion or mixed little bit. Other modes are also there, but passion is prominent. In Brahmanas, mode of goodness or Satoguna is prominent. In Shudras, ignorance or mode of Tamas is prominent. In Kshatriyas, mode of passion. In Vaishyas, passion and ignorance mixed. Other gunas are also there present. So one will surely act as per his gunas, as per his modes. One obtains a body, a particular body, and the astrological chart at the time of birth only, it is ascertained. This child will be a Kshatriya, this child will be a Brahmana. It is as per one's previous actions done in the previous life, and as per one's qualities. So Shaurya, Tejo, Dhritir, Dakshyam, Yuddhe cha Palayanam, these are the qualities of a Kshatriya. And Kshatriyas, there are specific duties. There are specific duties meant for each Varna and for each ashrama actually. That's why Varnashrama dharma. 4 orders of social life and 4 orders of spiritual life. 4 classes: Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, then Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanprastha and Sannyasa. So Swami Srila Prabhupada, he is explaining. Lord Shri Krishna, he is asking Arjunji, Svadharma api cha vekshya na vikampitum arhasi. Why are you vikampitum? Why are you hesitating? Why are you hesitating to fight? Being a Kshatriya, fighting is your fighting and fighting for. The Kshatriyas are supposed to fight and dharmayad. Dharmayat hi yuddhyat shreya, better. So there is no better engagement other than fighting for the Kshatriyas, anyat, other than fighting because they are in the mode of passion. Shaurya, Tejo, Dhitir, Dakshyam. And for the religious principles, that is the duty that is mentioned in the scriptures, which are the direct instruction of the Supreme Lord. The scriptures are the direct instructions of the Supreme Lord, how one should act. So Kshatriyas, it is the duty of the Kshatriyas to protect others. Kshatrayate iti Kshatriya. So Lord Shri Krishna, he is reminding Arjunji that you should consider your specific duty as a Kshatriya. You should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. The war of Mahabharata, or the battlefield, or the battle of Kurukshetra, was happening to re-establish the principles of religion. Because Duryodhanji was very, very adamant and was irreligious, so it was Arjunji's duty to fight for the cause of religion. And punishing the miscreants, that was his duty being a Kshatriya. Kshatrayate iti Kshatriya. So Lord Shri Krishna here is saying, and Swami Srila Prabhupada is in the purport, he is explaining, the Kshatriyas, they used to go to forest and they used to challenge tiger face to face, tiger, lion or ferocious animals. They used to challenge them. That was the training the Kshatriyas used to go, because violence is also necessary. Swami Srila Prabhupada is mentioning religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor to maintain law and order and to punish miscreants. There will be miscreants in the society who will disturb law and order and the peace of the common people. So to punish them was the duties of the Kshatriyas. And for that they were trained in such a way. They used to go to forest and they used to fight with ferocious animals. Of course, Kshatriyas were also religious and they don't used to kill unnecessarily. They do not go into deep forest. Only those animals who used to, ferocious animals, those who used to come near to the residential areas. So in order to protect the humans, they used to enter forest and they used to challenge ferocious animals and kill them. And Swami Srila Prabhupada here he is mentioning this system is being followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state in Rajasthan. So Kshatriyas are especially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. And Swami Srila Prabhupada he is explaining that non-violence as such is not a factor or a principle. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or a principle. So, and Swami Srila Prabhupada he quotes a reference from the religious law books, from the scriptures. Aveshu mito anyonam jigama santo mahikshita yudhamana param shaktya swargam yanti aparanmukha yaggeshu pashavo brahman hanyate satatam duje sanskrita kila mantrescha te api swargam avapnuvan. So in the battlefield, a king or Kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. So when the Brahmanas, they used to sacrifice animals in the sacrificial fire, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport that those animals they directly used to, without going through the evolutionary process, long evolutionary process, animals directly used to get human form of life, human body. And human body gives a chance to follow at least Varnashrama dharma, which is a stepping stone, Swami Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, is a stepping stone for spiritual life. So by offering animals in the sacrifice, actually that was also meant to test whether the Brahmanas have offered the prayers and the mantras, whether they have chanted the mantras properly or not. But because in the Kali Yuga there are no qualified Brahmanas, that's why animal sacrifice is banned. Kalau pancha vivarjayet. In the scriptures, animal sacrifice is banned. Even in scriptures they prohibit. The only sacrifice which is meant for this age, Kali Yuga, is chanting of the holy names of the Supreme Lord. But previously in other ages, when animal sacrifice were performed, the animals used to directly get human form of life. And the Brahmanas, hanyate satatam duje, yaggeshu pashavo brahman hanyate satatam duje. So those Brahmanas who were sacrificing animals, so they were also not committing violence. Because everyone was getting benefited. The animals, they were getting higher bodies. And because of that, because of giving higher bodies to the animals and because of performing Vedic rituals and Vedic sacrifices, the Brahmanas, they were also getting higher bodies in heavenly planets. And if Kshatriyas, they also fight with envious kings, those who are envious, those who are after money or property, and those who disturb the peace of others rather than protecting others, which was the actual duty of a king or a Kshatriya, when they start exploiting the citizens, when they become envious, so fighting with an envious king, even if a Kshatriya dies, then he attains heavenly planet because he fought for the right cause, because he fought for the religious principles. That's why Lord Shri Krishna here is saying in the verse, dharmayad hi yudhyat, dharmayad hi yuddhat shreyo, dharmayad hi yuddhat shreyo. There is no better engagement for a Kshatriya than to fight for the religious principles. Fight on the religious grounds. So Lord Shri Krishna here he is asking Arjunji that you should consider your specific duties as a Kshatriya. And na vikampitum, do not hesitate. Kampaha, shaking. So Lord Shri Krishna here he is asking why you are shaking, why you are hesitating. Na vikampitum, you do not deserve. But Arjunji is shaking because he is a very, very elevated soul. He is thinking of others' pain. So he is very, very spiritually advanced. And that's why Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the protector of the religion, he himself is present with Arjunji. That itself is a proof that Arjunji is a very, very elevated, spiritually very, very elevated soul. So here Lord Shri Krishna he is asking, and there are two kinds of Kshatriyas killed in the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. And there are two kinds of Svadharmas, specific duties, as long as one is not liberated. So as long as one is not liberated, one is on the bodily platform of life, or even if one in the body, if one is in the bodily conception of life, bodily concept of life, and one is not liberated. But if he act as per the directions of the scriptures, if he perform his specific duties of a particular Varna or of a particular Ashrama, then one is elevated and his doors for liberations and his door for liberation is or his path for liberation becomes easy. So till one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of that particular body in accordance with the religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's Svadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. So in the liberated state also, in one way, Swami Srila Prabhupada he is explaining that in the liberated state also, one is not free from activities or one is not free from duties. There are many so-called spiritual uh, speculators, those who speculate that after liberation one will not have any work or any duty. These duties or these works are the cause of pain and suffering. So after liberation one will be free from work or duties. No, after liberation also one will have duties. Swami Srila Prabhupada here he is explaining. In the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, every living entity is engaged in his service. Jivera Swarupa hai Nityer Krishna Das. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and is related to the Supreme Lord. And in the liberated state also one is busy in serving the Supreme Lord in that particular relationship. And there also one has specific duties to perform. It is not that in the liberated state one will be free from actions. But those actions, those duties which are meant to serve the Supreme Lord directly in devotional service, they bring happiness. While in the material world, while executing duties or while performing actions, we may sometimes get reversals. And we as Arjunji, he is going through pain. And by killing his own grandfather and his teacher, he will surely be pained. So because there is duality in this material world, by performing one's duty, one's duties, one's specific duties, one may encounter pain. But in the spiritual world, by performing one's specific duties, one gets transcendental bliss. One gets transcendental happiness. So that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada, when one is liberated, one's svadharma specific duty becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. So as in the previous verses also, Lord Shri Krishna he proposed, duties are even more important than life and death. Because life and death, they are continuously, the body is continuously changing. But the soul never dies, as we saw in the previous verses also. So as such, no one is actually going to vanish or die completely. So that's why Lord Shri Krishna in the previous verses also he proposed or he instructed Arjunji to perform his specific duty as a Kshatriya. And Swami Srila Prabhupada here he is also in explaining that even if duties they bring, even if one has to face reversals or one has to go through some pain in execution of one's duties, but still one should perform his duty, because by performing one's specific duties of a particular varna or ashrama, one elevates himself, one promotes himself, one moves towards liberation, and that is the goal of the human form of life. So Svadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Svadharma is called Varnashrama dharma or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Swami Srila Prabhupada, he is writing, stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama dharma or specific duties in terms of specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with Varnashrama dharma serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. So, by performing one's duty as per Varnashrama dharma, as per one's position, as per one's bodily position, and as per the instructions and guidelines of the scriptures, one actually elevates himself to a higher status of life. Even if a Kshatriya is killed in the battlefield, he also attains the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. The animal sacrifice gets a human life immediately without undergoing a gradual evolutionary process from one form to another, and the Kshatriya killed in the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas. So that's why Lord Shri Krishna here he is telling Arjunji, dharmayat hi yuddhat shreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. There is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. So wonderful verse and wonderful points, very very important points and concepts in the purports. So with this I would like to stop here. We'll take up another verse in our next session, and we will read and try to understand through the purports of Swami Srila Prabhupada. Till then, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrajacharya Shrotrashat Shri Srimati Divange Sabha Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to His Divine Grace Krishna Kripa Murti Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Bhagavad Gita, all glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Holy Name Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.